let's take a look at our top selections. Dan Illman, Mike Beer, race number 8 at Aqueduct on Saturday is the Danger's Hours Stakes. Let's take a look at this field. We've got some nice older horses going 1 mile on the inner turf. Not only do we have nice horses in here, Mike, we have legitimate graded stakes horses in here. This listed Danger's Hour came up a salty field.
Yeah, they did get a really good feel for this race. Chad Brown, as usual, sort of has his hands all over this thing with the morning line favorite, Analyze It, as well as Delaware. But you also have Decorated Invader, Dan, who was, I guess some people are disappointed in him as a 3-year-old, but he's still pretty good. He had a pretty good year last year.
The number 1 Zoomer is entered main track only. That's why he's 3-5 on David Aragona's morning line. Price Talk, the number 3, raced at Aqueduct on Friday, so he is likely to scratch. So we'll throw up the Timeform US pace projector and talk about the horse that will break from the rail. That is the speedy and underrated, I believe, number 2, Rinaldi. Rinaldi is a New York bred that has some ability. They ran him in the Artie Schiller last time out, Mike, and he set a solid pace and was really game, taking them all the way down to the wire. He's a lightly raced horse. He might have some upside. H. James Bond is having a very nice year.
Yeah, and he's also, he looks like the main speed of this race from the inside, Dan. So I think that could give him a little bit of an advantage. He's a horse whose 4 wins so far have all come in restricted races. But as you mentioned, he ran really well in the Artie Schiller the last time we saw him. And he also ran really well in the Grade 3 Saranac at the end of his 3-year-old campaign. So I think he can go with these horses. If he's ready off the layoff, he could be dangerous in here.
Decorated Invader, another horse making his seasonal debut. Grade 1 winner as a 2-year-old, multiple Grade 2 winner last year at 3. Maybe it was just a lot of racing that took its toll in the Hollywood Derby, because I was a little bit disappointed with that performance. He turned into the stretch with a chance. He was real late to change leads, and he finished evenly. He also faced a very good field. Smooth Like Straight, the runner-up, came back to win the Grade 2 Mathis Brothers Mile with a 97 buyer, then just missed in the Frank Kilroe, a Grade 1 with a 99. He's a really nice fit for Christophe Clement.
He is. That was a really good field he faced at the end of the year last year out at Del Mar. He just wasn't quite good enough to beat them, Dan. He does sort of feel like one of those horses, really good 2-year-old, really good early 3-year-old with a couple of graded stakes wins to kick off that campaign. It just feels like maybe some of those 3-year-old turf horses caught up to him through the summer and fall last year. And it also just feels like he may not really want to go that far. I think bringing him back at a mile is a pretty good idea.
The 5 Tiberius Mercurius is a long shot, and deservedly so. He's eligible for a non-winners of 2 life race, and he was beaten in his seasonal debut when off the board in an allowance at Santa Anita.
Didn't run that well off the layoff last time, Dan. This is a horse that I was a big fan of early on in his career. He clearly isn't good enough to beat this field.
Penalty, the number 6, makes his second start of the form cycle for trainer Bill Mott. 2 back in an optional claimer at Belmont over the summer. He didn't break very well. He was far behind on the inside. He got to the outside, and he made up some late ground. In his seasonal debut, also not the cleanest trip. That being said, I'm really not sure he's graded stakes class, and he may have to be to win this listed stake.
He might. You're right about that. He's run some pretty good races. So I don't think I don't want to say he's impossible in here. He's a little bit hard to trust, though. He's run some good ones. He's also run some pretty bad ones. Last time, I guess he did have an excuse. He clipped heels early in that race and then just didn't do anything after that. 2 back, Dan, he ran fine, but he had a good pace to close into that day, and he wasn't good enough.
Chad Brown has the 7 and the 8. We'll begin with the 7, Analyze It, a multiple Grade 3 stakes winner who has just missed in a couple of Grade 1 races. He was the beaten favorite last time out in the Shadwell Turf Mile. He swung 4 deep turning into the stretch and kind of green with his lead changes. This is a kind of horse that I liked early in his career, and he kind of lost me a little bit.
Yeah, he was really good as a younger horse. Probably another horse who didn't really want to go that far. So he had some short-priced losses, going 1.25 miles that I don't really feel like you're supposed to hold against him too much. Listen, he's got a good race, a top race that would absolutely bury this field. I don't know if he's that horse anymore, Dan. His Red Bank was fine off of an extended layoff last September, but his Shadwell Turf wasn't that good. He had dead aim at that field in the stretch, and he just could not get by.
Stablemate Delaware was a Group 3 winner at France over soft going, and he might catch off turf on Saturday. He just really hasn't replicated that form in 6 starts in the United States. Blinkers on, blinkers off, and he didn't fire last time out at Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree. He's just a horse who I find pretty uninterested in here. He's 0 for 6 since he got over here for Chad Brown. I mean, I guess his Artie Schiller was okay over this course and distance last November. But I don't know that he ran any better than Rinaldi did that day.
One of the more intriguing horses in this race is the 9 Hieronymus going out for Godolphin and Brad Cox. We have not seen this horse in about 11 months. He showed some ability at the fairgrounds towards the end of his 2-year-old and early into his 3-year-old campaign. He was thrown to the wolves in the war chant. I thought all in all, he got a good trip in that race. But again, he was facing good horses like Smooth Like Straight and Field Pass. Tough spot off of a long layoff. I think this horse has a bit of ability.
Yeah, I do too. That last race that you mentioned there, that Warchant, it was a good field. You know what? He didn't run that poorly in there, considering, he tried to use his speed like he had done in his prior 3 races, but he just couldn't make the lead. They were going too fast for him in there. He, at one point, looked like he was going to get totally swallowed up in that race, and he didn't. He felt on pretty gamely to be 4th in there. I thought that effort was okay. I guess he's going to show speed in here. We'll see what he does if Rinaldi goes from the rail.
Top pick time for the Dangers Hour. We respect Analyze It. We respect Decorated Invader. They're coming off layoffs and are going to be shorter prices than our layoff horse, Rinaldi, who might get the jump on them from the get-go.
Yeah, I just didn't really want the short price on Analyze It, although I guess he's the horse to beat Dan. I personally was going to bet Price Talk in this race. I guess he's going to scratch. He's going to run Friday instead. So I'll try Rinaldi and hope he goes to the front.
2749 for Mike, 2794 for me. It's the Dangers Hour, the second of 2 stakes races at Aqueduct on Saturday. Good luck.